Since 2011, the city government of Sioux Falls, South Dakota has required pawnbrokers and gun dealers doing business in the city to report the serial numbers of firearms they're considering purchasing so they can be cross-referenced through an online database of stolen firearms. Thanks to one defender of those firearm owning freedoms, that practice could soon change. The owner of Dakota Silencer and former president of the Dakota Territory Gun Collectors Association, Brandon Maddox, is making his voice heard and says that this rule in Sioux Falls requires anyone who comes to the city to sell guns to pay a $25 license fee with the city and adhere to the reporting ordinance. Maddox believes this violates a longstanding state law that gives the South Dakota legislature sole discretion over firearms regulations and prohibits municipalities and local governments from regulating the sale, purchase, or licensing of firearms. Maddox takes his argument past constitutional law and points to common sense. He says that the city's use of an online database is inefficient, mostly ineffective, and duplicative of federal database that flags stolen firearms, and he is correct. Between 15,000 and 16,000 firearm transactions in Sioux Falls have been run through this database. Leads online in the last 3 years. Of those, 25 guns have been flagged, 11 of them handguns. There's a lot ahead in this fight. Joining me to discuss it, Brandon Maddox, CEO and owner of Dakota Silencer. Brandon, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us about your fight in this, because this, I mean, it does. I mean, I'm shocked because it's Sioux Falls. I mean, you just think that this is where freedom lives here. And so I was really shocked to read that this was actually a proposal that was pushed out. Tell us about this.
So I found out about it in 2009. I started originally as a home-based federal firearms license, and the city revoked my home-based business permit to essentially put me out of business so I could no longer operate my federal firearms license. And I always operated from gun shows, so it seemed a bit suspect. So I hired a family attorney, and that's when I uncovered the state firearms preemption law that's pretty strong in South Dakota. It's not vague. It says null and void any type of local ordinances that come up related to firearms. So then when I went to a gun show in 2011, and the city of Sioux Falls Police Department put a notice on every vendor's table that said you have to register with the city to do business in the city, I knew then for sure they were violating the state preemption law. And I looked at suing them, even though this doesn't impact my business. I don't, we don't take in used firearms. We mostly focus on NFA silencers. So, legal counsel gave legal opinions. Two different legal offices here in town said their opinion was it's illegal what they're doing. They said it would be more cost effective for me to change the legislation. And now Governor Noem, who is a much more pro Second Amendment governor, has come in, and I thought this is the perfect time to try to push this through the state legislature. And they've been fighting me tooth and nail. The first committee we went through, the former chief of police who helped implement this was on the committee. So it was tough to get it through the first committee. But in all honesty, what really helped is partnering with the NRA lobbyist and for them to sign on and support it, and also help sort of the lobbying efforts that they could throughout the whole state.
And there have been some lawmakers that are taking your side. One of those, State Representative Sue Peterson, who is introducing a measure, as I understand it, to clarify a lot of this and really to stop punishing innocent people for doing completely innocent things. She says it's a matter of jurisdiction, not the matter of the merits of policy, when she was speaking before the committee last month. So and then she also said that the database is completely inefficient and ineffective, which all of that with which I completely agree. So it's finally starting to get a little momentum, at least from some state lawmakers. So that's a very good sign.
Oh yeah, it passed the House committee, and then the entire House voted. It was a huge, win. So now it's going on to the Senate. So I feel like we're in good shape. So it's not really changing the law; it's just putting some enforcement in it. Because right now, the burden is upon the citizen to go and sue the city of Sioux Falls. Whereas if you put some enforcement in there, where the Attorney General is required to enforce it, then the city is going to be less likely to continue to implement.
Exactly. Checks and balances. That is what it is all about. Well, I'm glad that I love the stories of people like you, Brandon, who are changing this in their own backyards, because everyone focuses on the federal level, but the biggest threats are, our cities and city councils and all of these ordinances and everything else that's passed, and then it snowballs into, before you know it, here you have a law that's being passed by the state legislature affecting everyone, and then that's used as a precedent to pass something nationally. So dangerous stuff. Brandon, Maddox, we're glad that you're there fighting it.
Thanks so
Thanks for all
much.
you do. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks so much.